Do you breathe in?
Can I start the meeting, Liz?
Yes.
I have a motion to open the public meeting. Trustee Rosen Asher, trustee Nell, all in favor, unanimous. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to note that Mayor Rosillo is out of the country, and so I'm standing in his place tonight to hold the public meeting. I think we're going to switch the order of the public hearings. So, we open the
numbers?
yeah, so we'll do the second one first because there's somebody coming to comment on the first one. They're not here yet. Lost somebody there. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing to allow public comment on an introductory local law which proposes to clarify the provisions in Chapter 230 of the Dawesbury Code by replacing the vague term dusk with more easily identifiable terms that establish the restriction for entry and use of village parks, and consider a resolution to adopt a local law to revise that chapter of the code. Trustee Patino, second trustee Rosenberg, all in favor, unanimous. The public hearing is now open. Do you want to say anything, Rob, or do you want me to say something?
If you need me to clarify anything, or it's...
No, I would just say that this came up from the rec commission, and they had suggested, because the parks close at dusk, and it's somewhat of a,
Vague language.
vague language as to what that means, that if we changed it to sunset, that's a defined time, that everyone can look in the weather app and see, so then you know that it closes with, I believe it's within 30 minutes of sunset. And that was the purpose of it. I don't know if there's any comments from the public. Is there anyone on Zoom?
So do we, the other question, which is having the parks open with the lights on at night, does it require a public hearing? I know for reasons that I can't remember or that didn't make sense to me, and so I'm asking the question again, why we aren't doing that at the same time? Why we aren't also determining the park should be open because we just spent a bunch of money to put new lights in, and we should, people should be able to use those.
Because there's already exception in your code to permit village events or village-sponsored events or village-scheduled events. So the discussion then was if the rec wanted to do, say, a trial period of pickup basketball on Tuesdays between such and such at Gould Park, that could be done just as a sponsored event, and it didn't require a local law. If you want parks, a particular park to be open for an extended period of time across the board without a sponsored event, just leave it open, then yes, that would require another local law.
But why a sponsored event? What about just like,
Right.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights? Is that a sponsored event? Because that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
And I don't
Right.
think that's necessarily up to the rec commission to designate events. What we want to say is that we want the public to enjoy the park and, which they just paid for.
Well, but
Right, and
if it
I
requires
guess
lights-
the idea was the Parks Commission wanted to make this for clarification purposes, and if the rec department, the recreation and parks department wanted to offer as a trial basis to see how it would work to have it open Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, the village can do that under the code as it stands now. And if that becomes a successful pilot, and you want to make a permanent change, then that can be done by local law.
Okay.
Michael, anything, just to make it simple, anything that is going to have the lights on is going to be something that the rec department sponsored because they're the ones who turn the lights on.
That was my
on and
question.
off.
So the lights are
So-
not on in the park
No.
at night unless the rec department's
Right.
doing something.
So if
Or the
it's
village.
after
Or the
sunset,
village.
when you need lights, the village will have done that.
But here's the thing. We now have to have another public hearing for an issue about park openings.
But we don't though, because it's already in the code.
Yes, we do, because if we want it to be, Lori Lee just said, if we want it to be Summers
Summer's in the
you know, 4 nights a week or something like that.
On a permanent basis.
Yeah, so now we're.
There's concerns that Kendra and the rec commission have about having the park open at night, even with lights, without like any supervision there or whatever. So like when it's a village-sponsored event, you know, there's people there. There was discussion about having the lights on when there's football games because, you know, there's lights at the lower field and then the kids are playing at the playground without lights. So they were, everyone was okay with doing that when the night football games are there, but they had serious concerns about having the park just open all the time. So it would require a separate public hearing. It does go, we are ultimately the policy makers, but we do have a process in place where it does go to the rec commission first and they make their recommendations to us. And then we can either agree with them or not. And so we just had a meeting last night, but I'm happy to bring this proposal to their next meeting and they can make a recommendation to us or not. And maybe we agree with, let's say, I'm not saying where they're gonna come out. Maybe they say no, and then we agree with them and we don't do a public hearing, or they say no or yes, and then you wanna have a public hearing and then we can do that.
Well, I may, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but my understanding is they came to us and they didn't want to have the parks open at night. So when this first came up 3 or 4 meetings ago, or whatever, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago at this
Yeah.
point, it was, they were recommending that this was the new policy and that they weren't going to have nights. And I made pretty clear, and I thought most of us were in agreement that that wasn't the direction that the board would suggest. I'm happy to hear their perspective on it,
Sure.
but if it is just on occasion, a night here, a football game, some event, and it ends up being 3 or 4 times a year, I'm completely against that. I think that should be open and the lights should be on
Right, but
significantly more.
Right, I hear you. I do think that that has not been discussed at their level or how the board feels about it or thinks about it, because they should come back to us, even if their answer is, we're not in favor of that, but here's the concern, so that we can evaluate it with all perspectives in place. I mean, I don't know if you're just talking about like a Memorial Day to Labor Day thing, or, you know, more year-round than that. There's obviously concerns about having lights in the winter, and, well, and then, you know, if you have the winter and you have snow or ice, like, you have to be concerned about these different things. So I think it makes sense to move forward with this, because it's like, it's simple and it just clarifies something that could be confusing to people. And then we can talk to Kendra and the rec commission about her programming, because maybe her programming plans for the summer months will quell your concern anyway. But part of the reason they weren't super concerned about the nighttime is because when people want it in the summer, it's light out much later. So the park's open till, you know, 9:30. It's a half hour after sunset, so it's like 9:30. It's not closing at 7.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about, you know, like lights on June 21st. Well, my point of bringing this up is that we go through all this trouble for a big pile of nothing, and the question that really matters, which is using the park at night, doesn't get addressed, it gets pushed off. And then, I don't know, are we ever gonna get to that? I mean,
I'll bring it, I will put it on their agenda for their first Monday of March. I think it's March 3rd they meet. I'll ask them to put it on their agenda, and they'll flip a memo back to us, and we can see what we're going to take it from there.
I'm happy to take into consideration their concerns. We're not addressing the real issue.
These were the board's comments at the last public hearing for this very same local law. It was pulled and tabled and then postponed, discussed again at a work session. And with the proviso that's already in there for sponsored or authorized, the board discussed offering as a pilot, and, you know, and with the park commission and recreation, setting some parameters and advising what their parameters would be. So it's not a big deal then if a pilot is successful. It's very easy to put a provision in the park.
That's actually a good idea, Laura Lee. So I'll present it that way, like as a pilot, because you can pilot it, and then if it's successful or not, or the concerns come true, and that's not requiring another public hearing. You know, we would do it publicly, but it's not the same process, so.
Let's do that. Let's ask them about that. And
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if, like.
That would be considered part of village authorized events.
Yep.
So, yeah. And
Okay.
if it works out, you know, as we get later into the year, it very easily if you have recommendations on certain nights when it should be open or closed or whatever, then, we can put this on here for further discussion. This was for ease of enforcement. It's impossible for the public to understand dusk. It's also impossible for the police or security to understand when it's appropriate to enforce the closing of the park. So that really was this because of that vague term dusk.
Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Trustee Rosenberg, seconded trustee Gallen, all in favor? Okay, so then I have to what, do it? Do I have a motion to consider a resolution to adopt a local law to revise chapter 230 of the Dobbs Ferry Code to clarify the time for park use and entry? Trustee Nell, second trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. Do I have to do a motion to continue the public hearing? I don't know what she said.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same or different.
Do I have a motion to open the continuation of a public hearing to allow public comment on revisions to the zoning code, expanding eligibility for accessory dwelling units for properties improved with one-family dwellings in the MDR districts? Trustee Patino, second trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? The public hearing is now open.
Should I give a little introduction?
Sure.
We, maybe a year and a half ago, we passed the accessory dwelling unit zoning code change. It allows ADUs to be added to the OF zones or single-family residential zone in zones in Dobbs Ferry. There's several zones. We have not had a lot of applications, a couple maybe. And we had always intended to expand the zones. About 6 months ago, some funding became available for up to $125,000 per person or per household to add ADUs. There's a finite amount, but it only applies to Rivertown villages. There were no takers, partly because of some income probably mostly because of income limitations.
We had one that we were the first ones in this.
Oh, that's great
in this
news.
program to have it approved. And that's already, I think, gone through the planning board and is in progress if it's not done.
Thank you. I did not.
I don't think they didn't
the
use
grant,
grant money.
Yeah, with the grant.
Oh,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
But
I thought
in
they-
an effort to expand the eligibility for the grant, it makes sense to open this up to zones, residential zones that are smaller lots, more dense by definition. And generally speaking, those zones the people living in those zones will be more likely to be eligible for the grant. So without making this overly complicated, it's worded in such a way that it doesn't affect other parts of the code. And so it seems like a sort of easy way to expand the ADU program, potentially allow some village residents to have access to this grant money, and maybe get a few extra affordable units in the village. So.
And also beyond the grant money, just to be able to do conversions, in this case, in single-family homes inside the MDR district, to add a second unit for purposes of adding a second unit, whether it's somebody wants to stay in their in a smaller unit as they grow older and rent out the large unit, or vice versa, or having a family member be able to rent a secondary unit on the property. This is about making it easier to live and stay living in Dobbs Ferry. It's just an expansion of the intent of the original ADU law, not only because the grant money is available. That's a nice extra.
any comments from the public? Yes.
Hi, my name is Tracy Barron, and I'm the co-chair of the Dobbs Ferry Affordable Housing Task Force, and I just wanted to briefly come by and express our task force's strong support for this measure that you're considering. We think ADUs are a great way to add affordable housing to help people stay in their homes, and expanding it a little bit, we think makes all the sense in the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tracy. Anyone on Zoom? Anyone else have any other comments? There's a motion to close the public hearing. Trustee Rosenasher, second trustee Patino, all in favor? It's unanimous. I have a motion to consider a resolution to adopt a local law to revise the text of the zoning code to expand eligibility for accessory dwelling units to properties improved with one-family dwellings in the MDR districts. Trustee Rosenberg, second trustee Galen, all in favor? Passes unanimously.
And since this is a zoning text amendment, we'll need to do a post-adoption legal notice, and I can work with Liz on that, no problem.
Okay, great. Thanks, Laura Lee.
And we should also, and this is for the Affordable Housing Task Force and others, we should make sure that this news gets circulated to the people in the MDR district so that they can both know that it's an opportunity for them and know about the grant.
The next item on the agenda is courtesy of the floor. Is there anyone here to speak at courtesy of the floor? Anyone on Zoom? Okay. First item on the agenda is to consider a resolution authorizing engagement with Valuation Plus Inc. for professional real property appraisal services. I don't know if Laura Lee or Rob wants to give a brief summary.
Sure. I sent out a request for proposals to a number of appraisal entities. This is the firm Valuation Plus is an agency that my firm has done a lot of work with, and they also work with other municipalities. This is for 3 reports, 3 appraisals for 3 village-owned properties.
Okay. These were just for clarity, these are the 3 properties that were included in the RFQ for the affordable housing.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve a resolution authorizing engagement with Valuation Plus Inc. for professional real property appraisal services? Trustee Galen and trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? Unanimous. The next item on the agenda is to consider a resolution authorizing the award of contract to Abbott and Price for the Memorial Park spray pad project. So I guess this has been kicking around for a couple of years now. We had a CDBG grant for, I think, $154,000 to install a spray pad at Memorial Park in different configurations. It's now become smaller to help restrain the cost of water on an annual basis. I said earlier, I was at the rec commission meeting. They still have some members that have concerns about investing. The total for the project is about $500,000, so the village's portion is about $346,000. After the grant money, have concerns about spending that much money on a spray pad in light of other needs in the village. And so I said that I would raise that again, but that we had discussed those concerns last year and possibly the year before. I still think that the spray pad itself could be a great addition to that area, since we lost the small pool, the
waiting pool.
The waiting pool, thank you, I can think of the word, the waiting pool. And just a free option for people to get out in hot weather and cool off. So I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to say about it, or if anyone else has similar concerns. Or...
I'd only like to say, well, I understand those concerns, and there are a lot of things that at budget time we're going to have to spend money on. A lot of those things are sort of invisible and don't feel like they impact people's quality of life, and I think it's important for us to do some projects like this that are just obviously going to make people smile. Nobody smiles about a sinkhole not opening up in their backyard. But people do smile watching kids play.
I think also we've looked at a bunch of different kind of rec add-ons over the past couple of years and thinking about something that will be, if anything, more and more in demand as the climate continues to warm. You know, we talked about an ice rink. You know, we know that the ice rink has only been open a couple of days this whole season despite the cold weather because, you know, it's just not staying cold enough, I assume. And, you know, we looked at ice rinks elsewhere as well and in the village, and just like thinking about the kinds of investments that are going to serve this village well over time. I agree, it's surprising. The cost is surprising, but the cost is what it is, and, you know, we have this opportunity to spend this grant funding, so. I think it makes sense, and it's, you know, a nice counterpoint to the pool, as Trustee Sullivan was saying, Deputy Mayor Sullivan was saying.
I'm in favor of it. I mean, it is a lot more than we wanted to spend on it, but it serves a part of the village that doesn't otherwise have any type of amenity like this. It kind of focuses on younger children. I mean, I know there's like a young kids part of the Gould Park pool, but this is free. You know, if you live on this side of the village, you walk there, it's easy. And I think ultimately, like, the health of a community can be gauged by the quality of its parks, and that park deserves some more attention, and it's time we put you know, our money and our effort into that, into improving that. So I think it's too bad it cost this much, but I think it's imperative that we move forward with it.
I mean, I basically agree with that. I mean, I was a little shocked by the cost, but I guess it's the same price we paid to turn the basketball court around. So, you know, if this is a priority, if recreation is a priority, then it is what it costs. And this is also, as Trustee Patino said, this serves a different constituency and a different part of the community. And I think we do have a lot of not only families with young children, but, you know, people living on Lower Main who would appreciate some place to go to cool off that's fun and nice looking. And it's nice if you're walking up from the train to go past it and see children frolicking. So, you know, it's fine with me.
I have a motion to consider a resolution authorizing the award of the contract to Abbott and Price for the Memorial Park spray pad project. Trustee Nell, second Trustee Patino, all in favor? It's unanimous. The next item on the agenda is to consider a resolution awarding a contract for the planning and design of a wayfinding signage system for the downtown district to Ashton Design. Christie or Rob wants to talk about it?
Talk about it. My voice isn't great, so sorry. Ashton appears to be a great design firm. I'm excited to see what they can come up with to help define the look and feel for signage downtown, and attract a bit more businesses to open there and to guide people to where they need to park and where they need to go when they're down there. Rob, wrote back to them and got more for their original fee, correct?
Correct. They're willing to do the construction supervision and holding their price to include it in their price. And they just upped, I think, a little bit just to additional travel to cover that, but they're holding the price.
Right. And then this is 100% covered by the county grant that we got, the downtown improvement grant. After this, then we'll make some signs.
And it will include the full kind of branding system for the downtown, which will include not only the signage, but also some additional kind of like markers and possibly some painting on sidewalks and pathways to help people navigate. So it's not just about like sticking a sign in the.
Right. It's not a municipal sign. It's a nice looking brand system that will help people get where they're going.
Yeah.
Motion. Oh,
And I just wanted to add that when the consultants were doing all the work for the downtown improvement grant, you know, something that came up in all the communities that received the grant was that every community felt they had trouble with parking, and every community had a problem with signage for parking. And in order for the businesses in Dobbs Ferry to grow and flourish, it's going to have to be with people coming from other places to Dobbs Ferry. So when someone comes here, they don't know where to park, and they don't know where a coffee shop is, and they don't know where the library is. And this will make it much more friendly, consumer-friendly, visitor-friendly, which can only help our downtown and our village.
I agree. I have a motion to approve a resolution awarding a contract for the planning and design of a wayfinding signage system for the downtown district to Ashton Design. Trustee Nell, second. Trustee Rosenasher, all in favor? Unanimous. The next item on the agenda is to consider a resolution awarding the bid for flow monitoring services to ADS LLC. You want to talk about that, Rob?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is the second iteration of the bid to obtain flow monitoring in our sanitary sewer lines. This is a preliminary investigation to see during wet weather and dry weather flows to see if there's what they call the I&I inflow and infiltration getting into or out of the sanitary lines. So then we're going to full CCTV those lines as well. And just like we did with the storm drains, we're going to review every inch of the sanitary lines. So basically, this is the first step. So ADS is a known company, and they came up with a good bid, and it was approved by the engineer as well.
This gets us through the entire sanitary system at this?
Well, this is just for a couple of strategically placed flow monitors.
Oh, sorry, yes, that's not the scoping, gotcha.
Not yet.
I have a motion to approve a resolution awarding the bid for flow monitoring services to ADS LLC. Trustee Gallen, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? Unanimous. The next item is a resolution to authorize the village administrator to execute a renewal retainer agreement with Nelson Pope and Voorhees to provide professional planning services. You want to just give a brief overview? I assume this is to renew our services with Valerie, right?
Sorry, yes. Yeah, I think I'm personally pleased with the services, and again, they came up with their renewal that's in front of you, so I'm in agreement, and I would recommend the board approve it as is.
Yeah, I think I can speak for the whole board when I say we've all been really happy with Valerie's services, and I know that it's not just her, but other people at Nelson Pope, but we don't deal with them. So we've been really appreciative and happy with their performance, and so I have a motion to
Yeah, also just add, like, the way that the planning board operates now is just far superior than it has been, having
That's great.
professional planner there to help them stay organized, assess issues from a kind of big picture, and allow them to focus on the things they should be. So it's not just us, it's like she's very valuable asset in other, for other reasons. She also does grant writing, she's looking at grants for us. So.
Yep. She's been a value add everywhere. That's good to add. We have a motion to approve a resolution to authorize the village administrator to execute a renewal retainer agreement with Nelson Pope for the professional planning services. Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Patino, all in favor? It's unanimous. Consider a resolution to set a public hearing for proposed stop signs at Price Street and Hickory Hill Drive. I don't know who wants to speak about that. I know the chief's here too.
I can speak about that. So Price Street is a long and wide and straight road, and has a long length with no reason for, and also a road with no sidewalks. And so there's a lot of pedestrian traffic in the sidewalks. There's parking on both sides of the street, so there are some sightline issues at Hickory Hill intersection, and it was determined, based on a recommendation from the Traffic Committee, that a stop sign going both directions on Price Street at Hickory Hill would be appropriate for the road. And that is what this public hearing will be about, to get consensus from the, or get the input from the village.
No, yeah, and I think I drafted the local law. I'm just hoping you have a copy. It would be a stop sign in the northbound direction, and it would be a stop sign in the southbound direction. So it's becomes a three-way stop at Hickory Hill Drive.
All right, thanks for that addition, Lauralee. Anyone else have anything you want to comment? Or a motion to set, to approve a resolution to set a public hearing for proposed stop signs at Price Street and Hickory Hill Drive. Trustee Rosenberg, second trustee Galen, all in favor, it's unanimous. Okay, then consider a resolution approving the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer.
Yeah, I spoke to, I'm sorry. I spoke to Jeff, who had to call in sick today, unfortunately. Came down with a bug that's floating around, obviously. Wish him well. Hopefully he'll be in tomorrow. He did indicate that he did review the bills as usual, and there was nothing unusual. And also, just to let you know, we started our budget meetings with all the department heads, so that's going on for the next week or so, and then I'll be happy to report back to the board our findings and move forward towards the budget season.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask, when we're hiring that claims auditor that we approved, or whatever the title was, that might not be the right title.
They're working on creating the title with the county.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
So is that gonna be a lengthy process, or?
it's the county commissioner, so it's hard to say, but I know that Jeff's been working on it pretty diligently.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he has. Okay, do you have a motion to approve a resolution approving the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer? Trustee Rosenasher, second trustee Nell, all in favor? Unanimous. Now I have to add 2 items to the agenda. So do I have a motion to add as item number 8 on the agenda? I don't know how to phrase it, I guess. Approve a resolution, to consider a resolution to approve the fines associated with parking violations as proposed by the chief of police. And to approve as item number 9, a motion, consider resolution to adopt, I don't know if it's a resolution, to adopt specific dates that the CAB wants to do clearing at During Estate and Chauncey to clear out invasive plants as item number 9. Trustee Patino, second trustee Nell, all in favor? Okay, both items are added. The first item is to consider a resolution to approve a revised schedule of fines and penalties associated with the vehicle and traffic law and parking violations. I guess, I don't know, Rob or Lauralee, Lauralee, probably you, just give a quick synopsis of what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Sure. We talked about this in the workshop. It's been a number of years since the Board of Trustees have formally adopted this. So it's a matter of providing notice to the public and providing support to the police department in their enforcement efforts for these code violations. These are not New York State VTL. These are actually related to your code. So there are various violations listed in the code, and this provides the opportunity for the board to adopt this and to get notice to the public that these are the fines associated.
Okay, and so just so we're clear, the resolution that we're considering is to approve the document that was in our workshop packet titled Parking Fine Spreadsheet, December 2018, and the fines that were listed therein for Dobbs Ferry. Anyone else want to comment on anything or talk about
We
it?
took the time at our workshop to go through almost all of them at length and decided that they are all sufficient as they were in 2018. And so that's what we're working on here.
So do I have a motion to approve a resolution to adopt the revised schedule of fines and penalties associated with the VTL and parking violations as delineated in our code and the parking fine spreadsheet dated December 2018? Trustee Rosenberg, second trustee Galen, all in favor? It's unanimous. Then the next item and last item tonight is the Conservation Advisory Board. For the last few years has hosted cleanup of invasive species enduring in Chauncey, and they've asked us to allow them to do so on many dates, I guess all Sundays, March 16th, March 23rd, March 30th, April 6th, April 27th, May 4th, May 11th, May 18th, June 1st, June 8th, June 15th, and June 22nd. Michael, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to, this is, it's a program that the CAB has been doing for many years. It's sometimes is cleanup of invasive species, sometimes is planting. Those occur at the Juring and Chauncey Park. All the volunteers sign a village waiver that it's the same village waiver. They undergo some basic, some simple training. There's a Trees for Tribs event where the state donates trees and shrubs, and those get planted. They're fun events. Sometimes there's a slight change of date. It's usually on a Sunday. Sometimes it gets changed to Saturday because there's some kind of conflict. But it's like a great thing that we get tons of volunteers to participate in, and sort of it's kind of seems pretty. The reason this came on the last minute, their first date is coming up pretty soon. It's better for them to have more time to get their volunteers to sign up. I didn't want to wait 2 more weeks because they'll just have a few less volunteers. So that's why I brought to it the last.
Okay, is there a motion to approve allowing the CAB to host these events on the delineated dates? Trustee Patino, second trustee Rosenasher, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Any trustee reports? Trustee Galen? Trustee Rosenberg? Trustee Nell? Trustee Rosenasher?
Yeah. So, happy Black History Month. The Human Rights and Diversity Committee had some more listening circles, so I don't know if Trustee Nell and Trustee Rosenberg want to share their experiences. They are hoping to do more of those, and we look forward to it. And they are open to all members of the community. So if you are interested in participating in a listening circle, please reach out to the Human Rights and Diversity Committee, and they will get you on the list.
It was great. And I think like as many people as possible that do anything with the village here should participate.
It was amazing, the kinds of conversations you have when everybody is there specifically to share their experiences and be open and accepting. And it was a really good experience.
Yeah.
Even a cynic like me recommends it to everybody.
Nothing to add.
Ooh, comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan that we're working on. There's a survey. It's one of the first things that is out to the public to try and get input as to where we want Dobbs Ferry to be in the next 10 years. That's going into the comprehensive plan. So there's a survey out there. There's going to be another one plus workshops. But we'll keep promoting that. They just sent out another email today, which was awesome.
I got a
But
couple emails today from different people.
yeah, so, awesome, great.
I did the survey. It takes like 2 minutes, so everyone should do that.
Great. I'll just say that the seniors are having their Valentine's Day pizza party and bingo on the 14th, Friday, from 11 to 1. And there'll be a garden club flower project at 11 and Tai Chi also at 11. That's all I have. No further business? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Did you want to say something, Liz?
No?
Oh.
Motion.
Motion
Close
to
the meeting.
Close the public meeting. Trustee Patino, second trustee now. All in favor? Okay, we're hereby adjourned.